Oh my goodness. Okay. Check everything. So, good afternoon, everyone. This is September 28th, 2025. And I've got to tell you, we're in the biggest transition right now. Becky and I are going to go over some things. This is our Sunday service to you. And I want to make sure you guys understand the bucket that we're in right now of getting into real estate. One of the main assets that you can get into, the safest asset. Uh, I don't want to, everything's a risk, okay? I'm not going to backtrack into that. It's investing. Investing brings risk. There you go. I disclosed. We're not financial planners. We're not CPAs. We do not give tax advice or financial advice. This is purely educational, what we've learned, what we've done, and helped others to do. What do you ask your CPA? What do you ask your attorney? And I want to go over the Elon Musk thing, Becky. I want to go over, and some of you can love, you can hate him all you want, doesn't matter. But he's super, super, super smart in what he's done. And how you can acquire property, how you can acquire what you need in life without paying taxes, without going to the bank. So I do teach Ditch the Bank real estate investing, and it's not because, well, it is because, let's just start there. And I keep wanting to preface a whole bunch of stuff because I don't want you guys to get lost. I did it because I had no money. That was my first reason. My second reason for Ditch the Bank is I couldn't scale with the bank. They limited me. So some of you might be just getting started and want to ditch the bank, and some of you might be wanting to do scale and ditch the bank. But Becky, what do you think about Elon Musk and how he grew his business to billions, which y'all can do the same, so hang tight. I want you to work with me on this. How he decided to get paid in stocks, and then he borrowed against his stocks to get millions to create SpaceX, and then borrowed against SpaceX and took those millions to grow. And the reason I'm saying this at such a higher level, right, is because I'm going to break it down for you guys in just a minute. Becky, what do you think about that strategy?
Well, obviously, it's a good strategy. Elon Musk did it, right?
Well, but why is it a good strategy? Let's go with that.
It's a good strategy because even when you start at a really basic level, if you learn that game of leveraging assets, then you can borrow against them, and then you grow to the next level, and then you grow to the next level, and it all builds on itself. And so he had to start somewhere. And so he started where he started, and then he scaled up from there. But now he's like multi-billion trillionaire dude, right?
Yeah.
With big visions. And he's not afraid to work hard and think bigger than most people ever even consider. And so I think as a generation, we've been taught to think small. And so I did this exercise for myself not too very long ago. I said, okay, well, all this time I've been saying this is the level of monthly income that I want. And then I started studying under Grant Cardone, and I thought, oh gosh, well, what if in my mind I just 10 times what I wanted to accomplish? And so I set the bar higher, and I said, why haven't I been thinking that big already? And so I think.
Do you think we're conditioned to think big?
No, we're conditioned to think, go to school, work hard, get a good job, and work until you die. Like that's the American dream. And more, the American dream is getting stolen away. But when we came here as a settlement, we worked hard. I think Grant Cardone mentioned something the other day about people coming to America and looking for gold. Like they had it rough, it was hard, but they did it. And so the heartbeat of America is to dream big, to invent things, to do things that are 10 times bigger than any other country. And so I think
Trailblazers.
we've been conditioned to think, to be sold into slave labor, really, at the end of the day, that the whole system was created so that they made sure that they had enough workers for all the things. But I think a lot about what would have happened if we would have put more into technology a lot faster and didn't have so much slave labor, because we were being innovative. And so then we created technology to take care of the little things that cost us time so that we could continue to innovate. And so I think that's where Elon Musk has it right, 100%, because he's like, this is silly and we're going way too slow in our society and we should be on other planets by now. And he truly believes that and puts every single thought into how do we grow into that. And I think that's some big thinking that our society as a whole doesn't have anymore. And we should bring it back. That's why we get on these. That's why we think leverage your tools in your toolbox to get to your next level. So, for instance, I help people with credit. And so I help people get into and fix their credit so that they can use that as a tool in their toolbox to buy property for real estate investing. And maybe they just get it for that first one. And once they have that first one, now they can build equity in it quickly, because we have money management systems that we help people with, and then they can leverage and get the next door. And so just like Miss Joanna, 134 doors in 1 year, right? And now she's like 10x to that goal. I noticed the other day on her Facebook. So I think we just need to start helping people think bigger and show them step by step by step in a simple process of how to get it going so that they can leverage it for tax advantages.
I agree. And one of the things that I admire about Elon Musk is, and someone who doesn't understand taxes or what he did is going to go, that butthead didn't pay taxes. Well, because that's how tax law is written. Some of y'all may not know because it's 80,000 pages plus whatever. But I geek out on the tax and legal. And I'm not a CPA or anything, but I used to be licensed and I've read it and I trained on taxes. And I just think it's beautiful what he's doing and maximizing the tax advantages that are available to a business person, not just to him, to a business person. Did you guys hear that? Catch it? Mm-hmm. Y'all should have a business and real estate assets. Then you have mastered tax law. Okay? Into paying us the zero in taxes. If you're getting a refund, you messed it up. So that's for another day and probably for a conversation that you should have with your CPA. But know that your CPA should be strategizing with you too. And or if you have a financial advisor, most of them will say don't do real estate because they don't get a commission on it, sadly enough. If they did, they'd probably suggest it all day long because it's a huge advantage for not just your security, having assets in your portfolio that are real and tangible, but also the tax advantages you get from real estate that you can't get from any other type of asset or investment. So have that conversation with your financial advisor. But I want to bring down to earth Elon Musk's strategy to our level as, talking to real estate investors or aspiring real estate investors. You can do exactly what he did with real estate. And in our world, we call it the BRRR strategy. Okay? Buy a house, rehab it, rent it, refinance it, and repeat. That is the BRRR strategy. And I say that, I know we always put creative names. Someone else was saying wholetailing the other day, and I'm like, all the names we put on real estate, it's just you're either going to buy it, flip it, or hold it, or wholesale it, flip it, hold it, whatever, My point that I'm trying to make here is You could literally get a hold of a piece of real estate, no money out of pocket, leverage it, rehab it. It doesn't have to be like a whole like remodeled gut. It could be something somewhat simple and easy enough. You're not going to do it anyways. You're going to have someone in charge that's doing it. And then you take that and you refinance it so that you can pull that money out of it, just like Elon Musk did against his stocks. You guys tracking? Elon Musk borrowed against his stocks. You will borrow against the asset that you BRRR'd, and then use that money to go do it again and build doors. Now, here's the cherry on top. What if you could do that with a 30 unit? What if you could do that with a 70 unit? And you're going, oh, Joanna, well, that's pretty big. I don't think I could do that. You can. Literally, I swear, if I could do it, anyone could do it. And I know you guys must be thinking, well, Joanna, you're the real estate wealth maven. Of course you can. Well, wasn't born that way. Nobody was born, into knowing everything. You had to learn it. We all had to learn to tie our shoes. We all had to learn to ride a bike. And y'all get to learn this if you want that tax advantage and the passive cash flow coming in that secures your family. That is what I want everyone to know. I just want to press upon you. I've been on my soapbox for months.
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why do you think people don't get started with this? They hear it all the time. People think, I want to get into real estate investing. Half the business owners that call me to learn how to build business credit, get access to funding for their business, all that kind of stuff, all want to get into real estate investing. Why do you think people don't do it?
It takes work. It takes work. What I mean by that is dedication. Like, you have to put some hours into it. Like, I'll go back to my geekism in tax, that 750 hours is how you can check the box that says I'm a real estate professional. That's 14 and a half hours per week. Okay. Most people might put 1 or 2 hours per week. One of the reasons a professional is checked at 14 and a half hours per week is because it's dedication. Okay. There's a certain amount of hours that you need to put in order to master this and understand it. And so that's what the tax law is. And if you just do what the tax law says, you're actually forced to learn it. And then you just do it because it's all there ready.
You know how. Because you know how now, right?
Exactly. And most people are distracted with life, the family, and, things. And then also, most people still today, I can't believe it, still think, with all the gurus out there that tell you, ever since I was a kid, I heard, was that Carlton Sheets? No money down.
Yeah.
Right? The infomercials way back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been going on for decades, telling you don't need money to get into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I talk to people, at least 3 to 7 people a week, tell me I haven't done it because I don't have the money.
And so how do you get the money if somebody's like, how do you get the money? What's the secret sauce there? I'm going to give a tip today for people to pay attention. So listen in. How do you get the money if they think they don't have the money? Then how?
Pen and paper, folks. Listen up. Money is all around you. And the first thought is people go, I'm not asking my parents. I'm not asking my spouse. I'm not asking my friends. I'm not asking my family. And I get it. It's fine. And then some of you are like, oh, heck, I'll ask them. I don't care. Either way, it's fine. What you really need to know is when you network, and I call it speed dating, you're letting people know what you're up to. And I'm going to give you an example of one of my investor friends who was trying his little darndest. 6 months he was in it, running deals and bitching to his best friend going, this deal, I could have had it if I just had money. How many of you have said that? I could have closed on this deal if I just had money. I kid you not. 6 months into it, has another property, and he's like, damn, if I just had money, I could do this. I'm going to have to let this one go too. And his buddy speaks up and says, well, shit, I have 250,000. Let's close this thing. What? You mean to tell me all this time you had money and you didn't tell me? And here's the secret sauce behind all of that is everyone's watching you. They want to know that you put in the work, the education, the thought process, the analytics, the 14 and a half hours per week before they want to give you their hard-earned money. So there's money all around you. Here's where people mess up as well. Hey, I got this deal. I need 200,000. You got it? You got it? You got it? You got it? And people are like, ooh, that's bad juju. I'm not even going to touch that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, are you guys getting in the middle of the road here? You have to show your work. It's just like in school, right? Where we were doing math. Well, I don't know what it is now because it's kind of crazy math now. But back in my day, Gen X day, when we did long division, they're like, show your work, write it all out, right? And if your potential investors or people, private money lenders, people that want to put money into your deal cannot see your work, why would they invest? So, and here's what I know most of you do. And this might best answer your question too, Becky, that y'all sit behind the screen and never tell anyone you do in real estate. And you're just poking away at numbers, and poking away at numbers and analyzing for months on end. I know some of you are my students, okay? You've come to me and you're like, I've spent so long. Some of you like a year, 2 years, 20 years Google tubing and trying to figure it all out on your own. And you get nowhere, sadly. You're like, I wish I can get into real estate. Because then you could do like Elon Musk did with the stocks and borrowed against it and then grow and then grow and then grow. But most of you won't because you don't understand. I hope that answers your question, Becky, in a long roundabout way.
It does. What if somebody doesn't have stocks? Any other ways that they could get access to money or no money and they have no money?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, depends. One of my students hates when I say that. She's like, it's that depend word again. I'm like, well, it does. It does depend. It depends on your credit. It depends on, so you could easily get somebody money if they had a 700 credit score, like next week, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Credit
card stacking.
Credit card stack. There's business loans that you can get almost instantly. If you have a business that has revenue coming in, you can get it like this week. Mm-hmm. So, and I know this, I've watched it. Anyways, we have evidence, personal evidence that shows all the possibilities. These are not theories. Mm-hmm. So again, depends on your credit score. If you want to get business credit, we can do that one, right? If you don't have good credit, well, then you could work on your credit and get business credit because business credit isn't issued the same way it was even a year ago.
It's true.
So if you're all like, well, I've been trying to pull this plan together for the last 3 years or whatever and waiting to get whatever put together, the rules have changed. You might want to talk to Becky about that because the rules have changed. So there's that depends. So if you don't want to do business credit, you're like, my credit sucks. It's 480, Joanna. There's no way I'm waiting to work with Becky and I just want a house today. Okay, that could work too. So again, depends on your situation. You could literally be either a bird dog, a wholesaler, or an acquisitions person. None of those cost you any money to do, and you can help feed into a team on multifamily or a fix and flipper in your area. You could be on the acquisitions team, and you could learn a whole lot. Okay, and then you get paid for that. It's not a lot, but you get paid for it.
And then you put that up to reinvest in it, or you put it into a CD, like you were saying, and you put it up into a CD and then borrow against the CD, like your one person did. And so that's, one of the things that I did is help somebody get their credit back on track. And she decided to buy a triplex. She lived in one and she had the other two, and it was paying her for her property. So she was basically living for free and creating a profit. And then she turned around and did the next thing. She was working a regular job until she got it big enough to where she felt like, hey, I want to do this full time. And so she chose to start doing it full time. I think she has now 6 or 7 properties. We got her scores up to 850. She calls me all the time still to this day. And she's like, oh, I just can't get it to get, or is 825 or something. And she wants an 850. It stresses her out and drives her crazy. But at the same time, she used that. Now she has a relationship with a banker that has given her a line of credit so that she can go buy houses whenever she finds deals. And so she's not using her credit to do that. He's doing that under her business now. And so the thing is there's so many different ways to do it, but the point is to get it started. There's ways to stack business credit cards. I helped this one guy had a $10,000 credit limit on his personal credit, and he had an LLC business. And so what we did is stacked credit cards where he got $50,000 in credit cards in his business name that don't show up on his personal credit. So it's not messing with his debt to income ratio whenever we're talking about credit. This leverage thing is a big deal. This is how people create assets and create residual income. But you do have to study a little. You have to start somewhere. You should always hire a coach to look over your stuff and make sure that the coach that you hire to do that knows what they're doing and they've put in the 14 and a half hours a week to master what they're doing. How long have they been doing it? Because that's how we create generational education. Because the thing is back in the day, way back in the day, we used to have diaries, family diaries that would get passed down from generation to generation so that you could read and not make some of the same mistakes that we've made in the past. Well, when they started schools, people stopped taking responsibility for their family and stopped creating those generational diaries. And so that's all we're saying is find somebody that has a master's degree in this real estate game, i.e. just go to Joanna, because she'll keep you safer than you would if you were trying to fumble through and figure it out by yourself. That's how I see it.
Well, yeah, 25 years. And in case you guys are new to the platform, I'm Joanna Wright, founder of Bottom Line Wealth, known as the Real Estate Wealth Maven. I geek out on the tax and legal side of things. And 25 years in this business, living off of real estate, I mean, I've learned a few things. So to your point, Becky, that definitely get a mentor. And I'm not saying it has to be me, even though it is one of the safest places to go because I spend a lot of personal time with my students. But there's also people that are not coachable. So I just experienced this last week, and she was bound and determined to get this deal. She needed to raise like 15 million, some ridiculous number. It was her first deal ever. And she didn't have any investors in her corner by her side. She didn't have a mentor. And so I ran through it and I go, well, it sounds like it's not a deal. And she goes, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. She goes, the performer numbers are, amazing. And I said, nobody buys off of BS numbers. Performa is just a hope and a prayer. We buy off of actual numbers. So, and she goes, well, y'all don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to go buy this thing. Some people aren't coachable. They're not going to get it. And I get it. You want to do it on your own. And I pray for you. That's all I can say is I pray for you. I've heard so many horror stories of people joint venturing with the wrong people because they didn't know how to vet them out and losing $30,000, $100,000, $55,000. And then they come to me, right? Joanna, save me. Like, well, we'll try and piece it together for you, but I'm not a savior, and by any means. So please make sure you're reaching out to someone with experience, not even just experience, but integrity, that's going to help you out. Yeah. So we could take this game to a whole nother level if y'all want. Becky, I don't think you fully introduced yourself. Why don't you make sure people know exactly who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks. I'm Becky Eastup. I am the financial wealth queen and AKA credit repair specialist. I've been helping people in the credit space since 2007. I've probably looked at 4,000 to 5,000 credit reports, helped 4,000 to 5,000 people in the credit space get where they want to be, buy their first home, do all the things. I've helped business owners scale their business, look better on paper so that they get approved for funding, because most people don't know the rules. They're like, oh, they call me and they're like, oh, I want to get funding for my business. And I'm like, okay, well, how long have you been in business? Oh, like 3 months. And then they'll tell me something else and they'll tell me something else. And there's some key things like you can get access to funding day one for your business, depending if you have some personal credit that's built up that you could use to get cash for your business. But the thing is if you don't have good credit and then you just started your business, like, well, okay, they want to see that you've been in business for at least at the very, very minimum 6 months. And as long as you have good cash flow going through your bank account, they might lend against that. But you got to be super careful with that because that's really expensive money. They're like, we're taking a big risk on you. We have no idea if you'll close your doors in 1 month. And so we want to make sure that we get paid back. And so I always reference Shark Tank. And so kind of like if you have ever watched Shark Tank, if you haven't, you probably should, just to learn how they think about lending money, because they're always talking about, well, how do I get my money back? And so think about that from a lender's perspective. Would you lend to you? And if you wouldn't lend to you, guess what? You can change that today. Draw a line in the sand and start doing the things that would make you look good on paper and lendable. I'm not saying you're going to run into real estate and you're going to create all this cash flow immediately and all the things. It takes time. But like Grant Cardone says, like, do you want to be rich for maybe, or do you want to be rich for sure?
Yeah.
For sure. And for sure is creating a foundation, a strong foundation in what you're doing, being super methodical. Okay, this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. Anybody can work into this, even no matter where you're at in the world. You got to start somewhere. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. And most people wouldn't do what I do. Um, in the fact that I have this slow burn, if you will. So I've made the fast money. To your point, I've made the fast money to doing wholesale, doing fix and flips, making six figures in each one of those flips, and then I'm like, okay, I'm paying too much in taxes, and now I have to hold property just to offset my taxes. Um, and I had first dealt with tenants and toilets. Don't ever want to do that again. And I don't recommend that for anybody. And that's not what I train on, making sure that you are hands free, right? So one of my students is doing three or four rehabs right now. I think she just completed one, so she's on three right now. Um, we got to keep up on these things. She's a mover and a shaker, and why she's doing, some of you might go, well, oh my god, she must be overwhelmed and I don't want that kind of pressure. And she doesn't. She gets on the phone, she's like, okay, now what? And she's a happy-go-lucky person. Well, is there some stress in her life? Sure. She's got little ones. She runs another business, and she has multiple things going on. She has family. She has again, multiple things she's working with, but there's a peace about her, right? Nobody's void of stress. I don't think she's a unicorn or something like that. However, she's leveraged, right? She has people in charge of stuff, and they all come to her with their findings. She's not swinging the hammer. Could she? Sure, she has. Yes. Her kids love to demo. That's their favorite part, right? So they get in there and they do a little bit, and then they leave it to the contractor to do the rest. I'm saying this because I'd like to hear you guys' excuses in the chat, your reasoning that you have, and I would like to have an open debate about what that looks like for you. Because I have experience, I didn't at one time. I had to go get it. And so I've heard every reason in the book as to why you haven't gotten started or why you think you have to do things a certain way when I'm telling you there's an easier way. So I'd love to hear in the chat what your thoughts are and what your reasoning is. And please, money should not be the reason. Money is not the reason. Come up with something more creative as to why you're not doing it. Again, because I started with zero. I had absolutely no money when I started. And I created cash. I created a foundation. I created an account that I borrowed against so that I can do investments. And it was this big. Can you guys see this big compared to what you can do, what I'm doing today? But I started out super, super small, something simple that I could wrap my head around. And it's what saved me. And I was able to do real estate full time and create the life that I have. I now have 134 doors, and we just got in a contract with 48 doors. So I'll be at 182. Now, let me tell you, a year ago, actually 2 years ago, I go, wouldn't it be great if I did 100 doors in a year? Yeah, that'd be great. I'm doing one here, and I'm doing one there, and I'm doing one here, and I'm doing one there. And I didn't put effort into it. And then I realized, shit, what if I could do 100 doors in a year? Wouldn't that be amazing? Why don't you put effort into it, Joanna? Okay. This is coaching myself, right? Because we all have the same 24 hours, right? It's where you put your efforts. I'm like, all right, well, how do we do this? And then your brain goes to work, and this is how we're going to do it. This is how we implement it. Because now it's in your reticular activator, and all of a sudden everything is starting to come at you about how to do something. And your brain's figuring it all out. So I got a coach. Because why should I have to think about it all by myself when there's a map that somebody else has already laid out? So I got a coach. Everyone should have a coach. Okay? Every sports person, someone told me the other day, a coach, what's a coach? Like, you're not in sports, so what do you mean a coach? I'm like, really? I thought coach became a household name already. Anyway, so it's someone that's going to see where you're at. Mentorship, they've been down the road, right? Mentorship is, I've done this, I've experienced this, watch out for that landmine. Here's how you want to move forward for your situation. All right, I'm in, coach.
A coach doesn't do everything for you?
No.
I know. That's why I've got credit coach queen on my thing, because I coach people. I do some work. I have a service to help people fix their credit, but they have to do things too to work on their credit. Anyways.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because this is not a done for you service. Anyone who says they have a done for you real estate service is not best practice for you. For them it is. They're making all the money. So there's a lot of money coming out of your pocket for that. So I would say a coach, a mentor would be key, because you're going to follow a proven roadmap. And then that they've already done. I've already been in the trenches in almost every aspect of real estate, almost, not all of them. And I know where the landmines are. I know what to look for. And then sometimes there's coaches out there that go, oh, well, I'll coach you to do this, but I haven't been through it yet. Well, how can you coach me? I will never train on something I have not done, maybe not mastered, but I know I've been through it, the process, so that I can regurgitate it, right? And and of course, obviously, my major successes that I could share. But I said to myself, what if you could do 100 doors, Joanna? No way, no way. Let's make it a goal. Let's have fun and let's make it a goal. And so I did, and I put my blinders on. I got a coach who had been down the road, showed me the landmines, gave me the homework, and I did it. I did 134 in less than 12 months. Just under 12 months. I always say 12 months, but it was just under 12 months. So that freaks me out, how easy that was. Well, easy is not the word. How simple the path is. How's that? It took some work. I had to put some blinders on and turn some other things off in my world. And I would suggest you do the same for anything that you're trying to learn, because focus brings clarity and you get there a whole lot quicker. If you're trying to do 10 things at once, it'll be another 10 years down the line. So that is my take on that. So you could have 100 doors in 12 months as well. And I can walk you through it. It's not a problem.
What do you think the first step is to that 100 doors?
Clearing your plate.
Yeah?
Clearing your plate. Yeah. I say that because, again, there's some things that have to fall to the wayside in order for you to focus.
What do you think the step before that is? I'm looking for a specific answer, but I didn't tell you or warn you that I was going to look for. I can tell you. I'll just
quiz to decide.
That's the one.
Yes, I got it.
If you've got one toe in and one toe out, and you're like, do I really want to do this? Do I not? You're not going to do it. And so It's the decision to get the $100 or the 100 doors is what led her to more than 100. Actually, if you heard her story, she said 100. Now she's got 134. Yes. And so, and now she wants 1,000. Yes. And so, I think that creates massive action. That's the 10xing whatever your goal was. Just right now, immediately, you can put it in your brain. This is what my goal is now. Times it times 10. No, this is really my goal. And it's amazing how you start thinking differently when you make that decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how do you get the money for that, Joanna? I talked to 611 investors in 90 days, raising capital for this deal.
That's more than 14 and a half hours a week, isn't it?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. So some of them, were quick DMs, and, almost all of them didn't qualify to be in the deal. And I say that because there's regulation in 506B, or they didn't have money, or, they didn't like the deal, or there's all kinds of reasons why.
So you're saying, though, that you didn't use your own money to get those 134 doors?
Mm-mm.
Huh. Huh?
I ditched the bank. I ditched the bank in order to get my portfolio in line. We are leveraging it completely. So, is there a bank involved? Yes. Did I have to do it? No. Okay. So, and I say there's a bank involved because once you get into apartment buildings and get into agency lending, like pulling together, not that it's impossible because I've watched it happen. I now have evidence in my head and I'll do it one day. Pulling together $25 million from people instead of banks, I thought was impossible. But I've watched it happen with my own two eyes and in a very short window. So I'm actually going to be training on how to raise capital so that more people could do real estate.
Thanks, Joanna. I can't wait to tune into that.
Yes. And I'll tell you what I learned, what was coached to me, what I implemented in my own proprietary fashion, and then what I see as a future because I've watched others do it, and then there's evidence that I can take it further. So that's what I'm going to train on, so that y'all can pick it up wherever you're at and take it and run with it. Okay. I think, and I haven't seen in the chat yet, but I think most people say that they don't do real estate because they don't have the money, or they're waiting to save up for that, 20, 25, 30% LTV. And as soon as I get that, and then something happens, right? How many of you have tried to save for a house and then something happened, and then you lost that, at least half of it to whatever emergency came up, and now you don't get to buy that house? You shouldn't be relying on that. So another one of my students just got her fourth flip. And I'm like, honey, you can't, the taxes that you're going to be paying on this. She goes, I got you, coach. I'm actually holding the last two. So I flipped her from just being a flipper, because when people first come to me, a lot of it is a money grab. I want to make the money, right? But I don't have any money. And that's why they want to make the money. And I get it. So sometimes a wholesale or a flip is a great way to start. Puts cash in their pocket, lowers the cholesterol, cortisol levels, and you're able to think a little more clearly. And I get that. Sometimes that's where we're at, and it's fine. There's no right or wrong here. And then you get to hear my strategies on the whole tax portion of this. Right back to Elon Musk at the beginning of this call. Now you know how to get property. You're networking. Now you know how the process works. You've been through an escrow, maybe even two. And now you get to scale this. You get to take the money out of that property, tax advantages up the yin yang doing it this way. And then you get to the next property. And who says that you have to keep this only in single family? Why not a sixplex? Why not a 20 unit? Why not a 70 unit? What if I handed you a 70 unit, Becky, what would you say?
I would say thank you very much. No, like 70 units is 70 times the profit, right? Like, and it's you don't have to go to 70 separate properties to be keeping up with everything. You have it all in one place. And then you hire a management team, right, to take care of the property, so that you're not having to do any of that. You're just using the profit. And then me and you use a money management system that shows you how to build equity in that property quicker, so that you can borrow against it, so that you can use it for the next 70 unit property, because it creates a way bigger, faster asset than going to 70 individual deals and getting that done. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
did that answer your question?
That answered my question.
Nuggets in there.
And then a point I want to make to everyone is that I chose
you, Miss Marjorie.
I chose a big property so that you guys could just go, oh my God, so big, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But in the same breath, it's as simple as a single family. It's as simple as a onesie, twosie. Once you get through a couple of those, I want you to go bigger almost immediately. Because the power is in the units. So I have the millionaire blueprint where I laid out, like if you had a fourplex, you would have to raise the rents $1,200 and something. If you had a sixplex, how much you would have to raise it. If you had a 20 unit, how much you would have to raise it. If you had 100 units, how much you would have to raise it to get to $1 million, right? And in the larger one, don't you think it's easier if you just raise the rents $25 versus $1,275? Just saying, it is easier to run a large multifamily because you're not the only one involved. There's team. And I've been on my soapbox forever. Don't JV with just anybody. And I'm still on that soapbox because I've watched a lot of people get in very tangled partnerships. So be careful who you're partnering with. Get to know them. Don't be desperate to partner with somebody because it's your first deal and oh, I just want that first deal. Don't be desperate. Okay, don't have that kind of breath coming on you. Uh, but once you get to the larger units, it's easier. I know it seems weird. I fought it for years, but it's easier. So why not? Why not do it? You can definitely raise the rents $25 per the 100 units. And if you do the math on that, there's your millions. Because you do it by the cap rate of the area, that's now the value of the property. So much to go into that, and I won't get into it today. This is our Sunday service for today that I want you to see. We're just touching on different things that are possible. You tell us what you want inside of the comments so that we can make sure that we address it, of course. And then also know that we have a huge bucket that you could be a part of in, doing your business credit, your personal credit, paying off debt, getting started in real estate, scaling your real estate, understanding multifamily, paying less in taxes, keeping more of the money that you make, really having us in your corner by your side, putting those bumper pads up, right, to keep you safe. And I would have to say, being coachable is the biggest thing. Being coachable. Some of my most successful students sat, listened, wrote notes, implemented, learned, came back, asked questions. Like that is the perfect student, right? I don't expect you to just take the information and run and be good with it. There's just no way you're gonna. But you need feedback, right? And that's why Google tubing doesn't work for people.
Give me an example of somebody that was a good student and what came out of that. Like I have somebody in mind, like Trisha, like.
Right. So she's someone that comes to the call, takes copious notes. What did you say? Can you repeat that? She asks questions. And how does that pertain to me? And how do I work this? And how do I move it forward? She goes out, she comes back, and she goes, this is what I did. Here's my results. Great. Now you did this part perfectly, and we could tweak it here and then move it forward and catapult you over here. Great. She's all over it. She is not void of being stuck. Okay. Nobody is. Matter of fact, I get stuck all the time. If I don't have someone to pull me out of the weeds, I'm stuck in the weeds. And I know that to be a human function. We all get that way. And so if you don't have somebody that can guide you that's been in the trenches, I have another student who, oh my God, she blew up. We have the pocket coaching, right? And she was just like question after question after question after question. Because there's a process, there's like if you Google tubed it, right? Like how do I, and you had someone go, well, here's how you could, right? It's all theory because it depends on you and your situation. And so that's why the questions were coming in. She took the overall umbrella of it and go, how's that work for me? Okay, well, I got this, I got that. Okay, and then how do I? And then she put the pieces together and within 30 days made $13,000. I'm just saying, in a state where wholesaling is illegal, she wholesaled the deal.
So did she do something illegal?
No, she did not. And that's why I'm saying, people are like, oh, I can't wholesale, because you can. You just have to do it in a different way. There's double close, there's doing businesses, there's doing, and some of them, not all states are equal. So I think North Carolina is the latest one to put litigation on how it should work. Illinois was the first state to require you to get a license. And you could do like 2 wholesales in Illinois and not be considered a wholesaler. So back to my other statement of just do 1 or 2, get the cash, and now go do the more leveraged generational wealth way. because now you've lowered your cortisol level. You have money in your pocket, right? You can relax, and now you can pay attention, because I know when I'm stressed, I can't pay attention.
What is pocket coaching?
Pocket coaching is this is either in your pocketbook or your back pocket, one of the two. It's your cell phone. So we have an app that we are coaching so that my students aren't stuck more than 5 minutes. They're instantly, and they're going, okay, I'm going to go meet with the seller, and here's my problem, or here's how I'm going to say it, or what do I say? Here's the situation. Or, hey, I'm about to write this contract. I have questions. So pocket coaching is priceless. And then I could reach them all at one time by saying, here's what's the latest and greatest that's happening right now, and what to look out for. I could reach them all at once. So they get me. My personal time on their work. And that, I've been in so many programs where they just sold you the coaching, and they didn't teach you, they didn't help you get through it, because it sounded great in theory how it worked for them. But then I'm like, well, I'm stuck on how it works for me over here. And they're like, well, sorry. I'm like, what? Well, you got to buy like 6 more coaching packages in order for us to, dude, I'm in the middle of escrow. Can you help me? Do you want to pay for some more coaching? Okay. So you all know, you get me 24/7 when you're in escrow. When you're freaking out in the middle of the night, you get to go, oh my God, Joanna, what am I doing? Because I know that when I bought my first property, it was the escrow was in an industrial area, and I walked around that building 17 times. I was freaking out. And I really didn't have anyone to talk to or any pocket coaching that I can get. And I just really had to trust the people that were around me, which were awesome people. And that was a lot to do, for me to do. My first property I bought was sight unseen in a whole other state. So do I have a risk tolerance? I would say absolutely I do. I've jumped off a cliff. I've jumped out of an airplane. I do have a risk tolerance. Doesn't mean I'm not ever freaking afraid or freaking out. I'm human. But I also know what I've learned in my past is the faster I go through that fear, the easier it is to deal with. Those people muddle in it and they never cross the line one way, and they'll retreat back to comfort zone because it's too freaky. Mm-hmm. And I just like sort of like a football game when they run and they go through the the thing, and the team goes out on the field. That's how I like to do that with fear. Sometimes it's not as fast, but I still do it. How do you get past your fears, Becky?
Well, I was just thinking that it's do you jump into the water or do you dip the toe in and go in slowly? And so I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to address fear. There's some fears that I have that I still have to address, because that's, I think, as humans, we are, that's what's the purpose is so that if it's something that makes you uncomfortable, then you're supposed to be doing it, so that you grow to the next level, to make God happy, right? Like he's the dad, and he's looking at you going, it's okay, you'll be okay. Anyways, persistence. And I am a details oriented person. I really like the details. I feel like if I have all the details or a lot of them, even though sometimes that makes me go a little bit slower, I'm a dip the toe in kind of girl. Then I feel more confident to do whatever it was that I set out. But I have to figure out first what that fear is. And I think once you name a fear, it's not as scary anymore because you understand it. And so I think once you name it, then you can move forward. And so if you're feeling stuck and you feel afraid to do something like getting into real estate investing or starting your own business or just figuring out like what could create some generational wealth for your family. Or if you're like, I have all this debt and all these things that I'm having to figure out and it just seems to never go away. Like if you're feeling stuck in that space, that's where you find somebody that's smarter than you, that understands it and that can walk you through how to get through that fear, and understand that if you're not picking up the phone, if you're not reaching out, if you're not messaging them to figure out why, and then name it and then move forward. Like I think you have to name your fears, because
That's
otherwise you
interesting.
stay stuck in them.
I hadn't thought of it that way, and I love it. And in the same breath, well, I want to say that my fears aren't in front of me long enough to name them.
Nah.
Was my first thought.
Hmm.
Not right or wrong. It just was what came to me.
Sure.
I'm very much the cannonball person, though.
Yeah. I can see that about you. And I think that sometimes, like, I've been in real estate investing and I haven't jumped back in with both. I am an investor now, currently, just not a 70 unit yet. The thing is when you make a mistake, sometimes, and if a decade's gone and then you fall into something else, that I'm talking about me right now,
Yep.
and then another decade is gone, then you are a little more cautious about jumping in to something. And that's why I feel like it's important to have the right person on your bus, the right coaches, the right
Yeah.
team, and to be very
Joanne
cautious
White.
about. Yeah, exactly. Um, that's why that's why I enjoy being in your space all the time, and I feel like we grow together. And so we go together like peanut butter and chocolate, just like you say. And so I just feel like having the right people on your team to make sure that when you jump in the water, you don't drown is really important.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to address a little bit about how my fear works. I did an endurance training. I had a coach years ago, and she said, "When in doubt, run it out." And I'm like, I'm not a runner. I'm not going to go run, you know. And she just kept saying that, "When in doubt, run it out. When in doubt, run it out." And that I didn't learn it for the longest time. Trust you me, I'm a slow learner in a lot of things. And I realized years later that it didn't have to be running. It just meant go exhaust yourself physically. Get out of, the desk or whatever it is. Go exhaust yourself physically. Go run or walk or work out or do something that is out of your normal. And then that's when you get the downloads. I didn't notice that until I went and exhausted myself. And I did an endurance training thing. I go, well, I'm going to try this thing out, right? And it was when I was working with Jesse Itzler. Jesse Itzler is the husband of Sarah Blakely of Spanx, who now has sold that to Warren Buffett. But anyways, she owned it at the time of me being there. And it was a 4-hour, like we trained with Jesse for months. Virtually, we trained with him. I go, this is stupid. I'm training virtually, and I'm in Pennsylvania for the first time, not experiencing snow ever, or ice, or in country roads where there's no sidewalks to walk, or I had a lot of things that were limiting me. And he was just like, and I'm like, what? So, well, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. That was freaky for me to it was a whole nother world I didn't understand. He's a Spartan runner. He's a, major endurance person. That's not my jam, but he did it to get us entrepreneurs on a whole nother plane. And so we all met in California at this camp, and they put together this course that we had to run. And it started out you went so far, and then you had to like dive on the ground and go under the barbed wire, and then you got up and you ran so far and you carried a sack of sand with you, and then you marched up you had to like take the rope and go up the hill and then run through the hill and then come down, and like you're like literally your feet are like this trying to get down the hill, and then you go and you kept repeating it, right? And you had 4 hours to complete it. There was a bronze, silver, and gold level that we all trained at. And of course, I'm training at bronze because I'm like, I'd be lucky to get a bronze, you know? And I was exhausted towards the end of it. I was exhausted. I go, what is this? What are you doing, Joanna? This is silly. Again, the whole silly thing, right? Towards the end, Jesse started checking on us. You know, you had some gold runners. They were already done by the time I could even look back and go, what just happened, right? He come running through. He was doing the opposite around the course. And he came in front of me and he put his hand on me and he goes, how you doing, Joanna? And I'm like, he goes, you're good. Keep going. And I went, I felt like I was dying. Really? I'm okay. Are you sure? And I finished the race. I was the very last one. So everyone was at the end of the course waiting for me. Like I had security walking up going, yep, one more, last one. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm the last one?
Aww.
And everyone is standing there. They're waiting for me because everyone has to be complete before they can jump in the pool. Right? And here I come down the hill, and I can't even remember, you know, that they're supposed to not do that. But I get there and everyone's there. And they're like, yeah, you know, Joanna, let's go. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm dying, right? And I crossed the finish line, and everyone's like, and they're like pouring water on me and shoving a banana at me. You got to eat something, you know, those that are really good at this. And helping me through this and then throwing me in the pool. Everyone's jumping in the pool, right? You did great. You did great. And I'm like, I did something I had never done before. I didn't understand it. I've never done it before. I thought it was silly. My feet hurt. I lost my toenails from running.
Ow.
I know. I was sweating like a pig. I thought I was going to die. What I learned from that and what Jesse taught us is your brain has 40% more that it can go. You're not even close to being finished, Joanna. And I take that to heart. So I'm saying this story because I want you guys to think about what you do to push that envelope. Once you know that you could stretch a whole nother level, sort of like what I did from going from wholesale to fix and flips, doing 6-figure flips, right? Now my belief level is something different. Now I'm holding property. Now I understand taxes. Now my belief pattern is different. I went from single family to multifamily. Oh my God, there's no way I'm going to get 100 units. There's just no way. It was my belief. And I got 134 in 12 months. My belief pattern has shifted. Why can't I do this in 90 days? Why can't I have 1,000 units? Like, do you see how it grows? And so that's why I say, get in where you fit in, right? If you're just getting started and you don't have any belief in yourself yet, you haven't done any real estate whatsoever, there is a path for you to get started, right? Maybe you've done a couple of properties and you're like, okay, well, this is a lot of work. I'm not sure how much more I could do. That was me on the racetrack. I'm not sure if I can finish this. They said pretty much everyone was done. I was going up the other side of it. I could see the finish line from the other side. I could literally have said, oh, well, it's pretty much over with. I'm just going to walk backwards to the finish line and not complete my track. Because everyone's waiting for me. I felt the pressure, I don't want people to wait on me, right? So I said, you will regret this, Joanna, if you don't finish this course. All you have to do is finish. My toes hurt, my body ached, my hips hurt. I mean, I was literally trying to finish this race. I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. Because it helps me finish other races in life.
So it wasn't silly.
What's that?
So it wasn't silly after all.
It wasn't silly at all. And our belief system is so skewed by society that you're only able to do this or able to do that because of either tradition or the way things are written, or we're not set up for success on purpose. The government doesn't do that on purpose. The banks don't do that on purpose, or their purpose is not to make us successful, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's to make them successful.
Sure.
And I have another way.
Yep.
We have another way. That's why we're here at Sunday service with these wild stories. Because just when you think you can't do something and you're stretched past that point, you look back and go, oh my God, that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was sort of a struggle, but I did it. Like riding your bike. You might think it's impossible when you first started. Oh my God, all the kids are riding the bike. There's just no way. And now, like, who even thinks about how to ride two wheels? You just know. You just know because you got stretched beyond that fear, beyond that belief, that limitation. We all have a limitation somewhere. Once you cross it, there's like this next level, this next level, this next level. And so what level do you want to be at? Yeah. Okay. Story time's over.
Yes. So how does somebody set an appointment with you, Miss Joanna?
I will put that inside of the comments because I really want people to reach out and get a plan, understand. The window of real estate is now, and we have so many things that helps you to get started. I have a couple people that have booked from last week to be able to get into real estate. And Becky, I think you had someone help connecting with you for building a financial plan.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things you guys get to do with us that can really change your life. And so I'm going to put that link inside of the comments here and turn off my phone. That's my hubby. Anyways, so that you can be able to, hey, Joanna, I need a path to follow. Here's my limiting belief. Here's my experience of life or real estate, one of the two, whatever you want to share with me. And then how could I move it forward to my 100 units? Or should I even think about 100 units? Should I be thinking 30 or should I be thinking 1,000? We all have a different plan. Okay, so let's map that out.
I love it. All right.
Comments, then we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any last words?
This was fun. I can't wait to do it again.
Yay. All right. I hope it gave you inspiration and possibilities, and we look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section. For some reason, Facebook won't show it to me, but I'll go back around and I'll look at it.
Yay.
Have a good one.